How you doing?
So, we're going to call the meeting to order, and I have graciously welcomed. I have graciously, I've asked Alan to graciously let me know if I screw up running the meeting, because he is amazing at knowing the rules, and this is my first time. So, welcome. And there's a sign-up sheet back there, so when you leave, you don't need to do it now. When you leave, please sign up. Thank you so much for being here. All right, so the purpose, is that good again? Would someone like to be the minute taker?
I don't have any note paper, but I'd be happy to.
You want some note paper? Is that
Sure.
what you said?
Yeah.
About this?
Ooh, fancy.
That's more.
Thank you, sir.
This is
All
a
right,
keyboard.
and so this is, the purpose of this meeting today is a special session of the RNA board, and the purpose is, to, have a motion where, whereby the board, the motion is gonna be whereby the board, refers the grievance directly to Sewell for, expeditious resolution. And before we get started, I just wanted to say that I was the chair of the grievance committee, and I am very deepest apologies that I had to step down as the chair due to personal matters. I did ask the two other non-conflicted members if they'd be willing to step up and chair, and they were unable to do so. And so, the motion today is gonna be around, referring the matter directly to Sewell for the most speedy resolution possible.
Hey, Kat,
Yes,
are we able to ask questions at this point?
not quite yet, I will get to that point, I promise you.
Thank you.
Yep, and then, the other thing to note is that, because of the nature of the grievance, there are only 3 non-conflicted, board members who are able to vote, today. I see only one of them, and that's me, so hopefully the other 2, show up before the board, has an opportunity to comment. Yeah. Yes, so,
That working?
so,
Yeah. You want that color? You can change
all
the
but 3 of the board members were either
Okay.
grievance or named as, in the complaint. So there's only 3 people who do not have a conflict.
Do you want to make it fatter?
Okay, so, normally we wait for somebody else to make a motion, but since it was me who had to step down, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that the board refer the grievance directly to Sewell for, the most speedy resolution. Would someone like to second that?
I second.
Great, thank you. And so, we are going to now go into board comment. Our meeting is only 15 minutes today. Yay! One of the other, non-conflicted board members has arrived. And so because, our meeting's only 15 minutes today, and I wanna thank everyone for coming today, take time out of your very busy schedules. So we are only gonna have board comment and then go to board vote. So, we are also gonna follow the chair's, new system of commenting, and Alan, you can help me make sure I get it right. Well, it's designed where everyone has an equitable, way to, speak, and then at the end, the board votes whether we go into a second round of comments. And I've only seen it done a couple times, so you can tell me if I'm doing it wrong. So I'm gonna open this up to board, we are going to open it up to board comment. Can you hold that for now? Yeah. So we're gonna do board comment. Would anyone like to start? Why don't we start with you? The motion is to refer the grievance directly to Sewell for the most speedy resolution.
I support that.
Do you have any comment?
What's your comment?
Beyond,
piece of a larger body,
Mhm.
and, so I would be grateful for Sewell's help and attention and time and expertise.
Thank you.
Is this open for comments now?
This is
Yeah.
Crystal Brim.
Yeah, and Brian, since we have Brian on the phone, he's on a work trip, I believe. Brian, would you like to go ahead and make comment?
Well, I have some questions. Basically, the questions are, do the committee take minutes? Are those going to become public? Has the committee read the grievance? Did the committee dispute or acknowledge the substance of the grievance? If so, what were those disputed or acknowledged aspects of the grievance? I mean, do we get to look at that at all?
Because the committee disbanded and the matter is being, directly referred to Sewell,
But we must have taken minutes up to that point.
no minutes were taken.
No minutes, so there was no deliberations, no discussion. So just like, it was just like, we'll drag it until the end and then boom, go to Sewell. I don't know, that doesn't make sense to me, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, all I can tell you is that no minutes were taken. We did meet once, and discussed. And that's as far as I got.
But you didn't have minutes for that discussion,
Correct.
so we don't, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Jonathan, would you like to make a board comment? Alan, would you like to make a board comment?
Yeah, my comment is under the bylaws, even if the board votes to give this to Sewell under section 4 mediation, if the parties request mediation, then it has to go to mediation for 2 mediation attempts before it even goes to Sewell. So this vote is kind of moot if after this vote I request it goes to mediation. And mediation would be good for the board to get together and talk about what happened and also forward-looking action. Let's figure out best practices, and in a mediation context, there's no voting who's right or wrong. It's simply a discussion with a mediator, and I think that would be a good thing.
A we building event.
Eric and Matt both said, why didn't you come talk to us first? And I think the grievance was pretty explicit in why I didn't do that. But a mediation setting would be good for us to get in a room and just say, hey, don't we all agree, you gotta follow the bylaws, and what can we do to avoid this in the future? So this is teachable moment. Let's get together as a group and talk about teachable moment. Let's have cookies and beer and just try to use this as a building learning experience. Filing agreements shouldn't destroy our relationships. It's a way to improve our relationships. So we're all working on the same page and we all have the same understanding on what bylaws is and what open meetings is. The problem is the board gets almost zero training from Southeast Uplift on what Open Meetings Act is. So it would be good for us to talk about it, what we all think it is. So that's going to be the issue. What happens when I request mediation? Second, I think this really should go to the community, so I'm going to make a motion that we present this to the community, either through the listserv or through the website.
Okay. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm gonna use my comment time to, say that, once again, I'm very sorry that we were not able to provide a recommendation to the board. Matters simply overtook the process. My understanding of the bylaws, and I conferred with Sewell and I conferred with Civic Life on what to do when I let them know that we were not able to. Civic Life is the new.
Ogle.
They like to be called Civic Life.
I'm calling them Ogle.
Well, I want to be respectful and call them what they want to be called, so I'm going to call them Civic Life. They said that a board vote to defer is considered a resolution, a type of resolution, and that any mediation could simply follow that. It does not obviate mediation. This is just the proper way, is that the board has to vote on whatever resolution and then it goes to the next step. So, that is the advice that, that Civic Life and School provided, to us. And so that is the end of my comments. Next.
I support sending the matter to Sewell as well. Thank you.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Yes. Next.
Yep. Am I supposed to say
Do
something?
you have any
You don't
comment?
have to.
No, not at this time.
Any comments?
And it's a process question. We're time limited in when the board acts on it. Is that correct?
Correct. So today is the last day for the board to vote on, the motion, or the resolution.
Okay, well, in that case, I support sending it to Sewell.
Okay, so now we go to any other, if we wanna continue the comments by the board, put your thumbs up, this is how I was instructed by Matt, and if you don't wanna continue the comment, you put your thumbs down. So,
Question.
hold on, so,
Thumbs up, Jim.
thumbs up from Brian, thumbs up,
For,
oh,
again,
continuing another round of comment, or,
oh, yeah,
okay,
for sure.
another round, yes, no?
Sure.
Sure. Okay, so it looks like we have voted that another round of comments can start, so Crystal, would you like to, any comment?
I'd like to, could you come back to me at the end?
Absolutely. Brian?
Well, the only comment I would have would be that I'm still kind of puzzled as to, when the committee was reviewing the agreements, there must have been some reaction or some comment, or, and we don't have any record of that at all. So I'm kind of curious as to, like, you said there was one meeting, but there was no deliberation at all, and there was no look at the substance at all, and I just, can you characterize that for me a little bit?
Yes, I can. So we had one meeting and we did have deliberation, but we did not take minutes. And we were scheduled to have a second meeting, but we disbanded before then.
On anybody's recommendation, or just everybody,
It was,
unanimously?
it was me, I had to step down as chair, and I reached out to the other two, board members who did not have conflict of interest to see if they would be willing and or able to take my place, and they were not able, to take my place, so we had to disband.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, I'm sorry, is it your turn now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
The order of, as Alan was suggesting, mediation, present to the community, website or whatever else, and then send it, Southeast Uplift. It doesn't have to be in that order, does it?
No.
Because I like the idea of mediation among the board to get some things out. I think that, well done, would really be worth it.
Mhm.
If we can learn to, whatever you wanna call, laugh together at ourselves, and
Some-
blah, 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 that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So it doesn't have to be,
My understanding from Civic Life and from Sewell is that the board has to vote first, and then it can proceed to the mediation.
but we all vote on sending to Southeast Uplift.
Correct,
Then mediation, yeah, I want to
Correct.
mediation,
Yep.
but that's,
correct.
okay.
Alan?
Well, this is sort of off topic, but this thing about going one comment per round and thumbs up, thumbs down, that's just Matt as chair wanting to run the meetings that way. You can run meetings any way you want, so it's not like you have to do that. But
Sure.
You can do it any way you want.
Sure.
But I think we're such a small meeting, I think it'd be appropriate to let an audience member ask a question. It's just, it's kind of silly not to. So I just think Heather used to be on the board. She has lots of insight. I just think it's inclusive, and we're so small. Let's give her a chance to talk.
So Heather, I would love to, but I will talk to you afterwards.
It's related to the agenda, which there was a request from a community member to have additional time for community members to speak.
I'm
And
so
so
sorry.
that, I don't know if that ever got responded to.
I never saw it, so I'm so sorry.
So I think
Did
that's
anyone
and
see
went
a
to Matt.
request?
So that's why
On
I'm
the
bringing
RNA.
that to your attention.
Thank you.
that there are
Well,
a lot
I
of
happen to
community
have it
members-
right
Okay,
here.
Hold on.
Huh.
So
So just-
Alan, are you done?
And I received
Oh,
a
yeah.
response that it was received,
Okay.
so how
Thank
does
you.
that happen? Magical,
So,
So you
magical.
could possibly address that as a
Alan?
potential way to have community members feel heard.
Alan, are you finished?
Well, okay, I'll just wanna clarify for Jonathan and the board,
Sure,
since he brought it up.
sure.
Yeah, under grievance proceedings, the way it's set up for the RNA, it's different in other neighbor associations. In RNA, whatever the final resolution is today, after today's vote, then section 4 is if the board and the persons cannot arrive at a satisfactory resolution at the request of either party, both parties shall meet for mediation. If after 2 meetings no resolution is found, the final decision of the board shall stand. And after that point, it can then go to Southeast Uplift. So, and there's,
I agree with you.
yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Eric?
I changed my mind. I have nothing further to say. Thanks.
Rob? Okay, all right, so now we are gonna do, potentially a third round of comments. And so, thumbs up if you would like to do another round of comments, and thumbs down if you would not.
Just among ourselves?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up from Brian. Alan?
Yeah. What's on that side of the?
All right, so, we are not gonna have another round of comments based upon,
Excuse me.
and so at this point, and Alan's gonna tell me if I get this wrong, the board is going to vote on whether to refer to Sewell. And so, all in favor, raise
This-
your
Comments
hand
from the
Without- I'm
community,
sorry.
without any public comments.
Oh, and mediation, what,
All we're doing right now is voting on referring to Sewell.
at some point or whatever?
We're voting right now to refer to Sewell, but that triggers the next step, which is mediation.
Okay.
So, all in favor, raise your hand, aye. All, against, raise your hand.
Nay.
2, all abstain. Okay, so the motion carries, we have to say what the vote is? Okay.
Oh, well, might as well,
Um,
just for the recording. We're a small meeting, doesn't really matter, just Rob has all the
Oh
meetings.
gosh, I did that totally wrong.
No,
I'm
it's
so
fine.
sorry. Only 2 people can vote
Oh,
on
that's
the
right.
motion.
That's right.
You're my rock and
Two
you,
people can vote what?
only 2 people can vote on the motion, sorry, you're my rock and you forgot to tell me. Because, only 2 people here were either not agreement or were not named, and that's Crystal and myself, so only Crystal and I you're named in the grievance. The complaint is partly against you.
What did you do with the board?
Yes, so, sorry. Alan, you're supposed to keep me on the straight and narrow. In favor, aye. Against, nays, abstain. Okay, so, the vote carries 2 to 0 to refer to Sewell, which now triggers the mediation.
Well, I make a motion, we publish this to the website or the listserv.
I'll second.
What are we publishing?
What is
Yeah. If you state what you want published,
Pardon?
what do you want published?
Just the grievance complaint and supplemental, just post it to the website. The bylaws say this shall be public record and the board's consideration shall be public record.
Okay, so now we're gonna do, anybody second that? Did Brian?
I did. yeah.
Brian seconded. All right, so let's do public comment, I'm not public, sorry, board comment on that. Crystal, would you like to start?
I would like, because we've referred everything related to the grievance over to Sewell, I would like all further suggestions or, motions to be referred, run by them. I would like for them to make all of the decisions or give comment on decisions before we make choices about that.
Thanks, Crystal.
from the beginning of this process, Matt and Molly both said in emails that once the board makes its resolution, makes its vote, it will then be published. So here's Molly's August 14 email. Published at the time is a grievance response from the RNA Forum Committee and Board decision. Once a grievance has been processed and formally responded to, the grievance and formal response can both be published on the website. Matt said in an email, we will let the grievance committee handle most matters, and at the end of their work, we will release all necessary documentation so the public can see a full and clear picture of accusation, responses, and determine courses of action. Part of the underlying theme of the grievance is, in my eyes, a lot of what was complained about in the specifics were things going on sort of under the radar.
You don't need to talk about that. That's not part of publishing what you're requesting.
Let's
Please
hold on,
don't
let's hold on for a
interrupt.
second. Yeah, let's let Alan finish.
So my beef is things are being done without transparency. So to me, publishing this on the website, realistically, how many people are going to read it? But to not the public, to me, looks like the board is sweeping this under the rug and not acknowledging that we made mistakes in the past and not acknowledging that we need to improve things. So I think publishing it is appropriate.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to just say that's Alan's point of view, and I don't like the characterization that it implies, and I don't think that's fair, and I don't think it has anything to do with publishing the grievance. So I defer to Sewell for making decisions on publishing the grievance.
So, my comment is that I also conferred with Sewell and with Civic Life on this matter. And the answer that I got first was technical, and then second was just, I think, nice advice. They said, doesn't have to be published. It is a public record, absolutely, but most public records are never published on a website, and that when grievances, they're very rare, but when they do happen, when there happens on a board, it's usually kept as a more internal matter, because they are not supposed to be, they're not supposed to punish, they're not supposed to hurt reputations, they're not supposed to call people out. They're supposed to be forward-looking, and just how a very non-professional volunteer board runs, it's just supposed to help improve operations going forward. And so they are usually not put out publicly. They're just usually done so that the board can just improve going forward. And so they suggested not to publish. And that's just me conveying what they felt. My 100% intention, and I've told this to Alan, is that if the grievance committee would have finished its work and would have brought a recommendation to the board, my intention was to publish both the complaint and the recommendation, because I think it would have been the fair thing to do. But unfortunately, because we did not get a recommendation, I do feel very terrible about that. It feels a little potentially harmful. But I do believe in transparency, so I think it's a hard choice, and I'm finished. Rob?
Well, that was really well said. I agree.
Any comment?
Yeah, I don't see a need to publish it, but I would encourage anyone who wants to see it's a public record. So email the board or Sewell, and you'll get it.
May I ask, if someone does, we will,
You have to.
okay,
Public record.
okay, that's good to know,
And
that's
that was
very,
a good comment by
thank you.
Brendan. That's a good approach.
Okay, so, second round of board comments. Let's do an up or down, whether we wanna have a second round. So if you wanna have a second round of board comment, and we are way over our time already, so let's try to do this quickly, I wanna respect everyone's time. Thumbs up if you wanna have a second round, thumbs down if you wanna have a second round. Alright. Okay, so, looks like we are not gonna have a second round. So there can be a vote on whether, the board will publish the complaint, was the motion now? Was
Yeah,
it?
to the website or to the listserv.
Okay, what did I miss?
Who's voting?
I guess we all can.
Gosh, that's a good question,
We're not-
hold on.
Well, I personally think I have a conflict of interest, so I'll probably recuse myself.
Is that only Crystal and I, what do you think? Who's conflicted out on that?
Well, I don't know. I would argue we don't have individually a direct personal interest in whether it's published or not, because it's already public record. That's the thing, it's already public
But
record.
published and public record, two very different things. I'm gonna say that's a not conflict. Like, I think that's separate from the actual grievance itself, and if somebody wants to disagree, holler now. But I think the whole board can vote on that, and I'm just making a judgment call. So, anybody disagree, real quick?
I'm going to say that anything related to the grievance, I'd like to go through a decision-making process through Sewell as, our leading voice on anything related to the grievance, and so I'd like to hear from them first. And so in this moment, in this venue, I would like to say that that's.
Okay, so what I think I can do is call a vote from the entire board on whether to publish, and if that's your opinion, you can vote no
Or abstain.
or abstain. Okay, alright, so I'm gonna
Soul's judgment, that's what you're saying.
I'm gonna call a vote. Can you please restate the motion one last time?
That the board publish to the website and or listserv the grievance complaint and supplemental file.
Okay, so if you agree with that motion, raise your hand, or Brian, you can say aye.
And
Okay.
I,
And if you disagree with that motion, raise your hand or say aye. Okay, and if you abstain, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so it looks like the motion does not carry.
so it was 2 to 3?
3 said yes.
2 to 3.
2 said no, 3 abstained.
Say it again?
3 said no publishing, 2 said publishing, 3 abstained.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Alright, thank you so much, meeting adjourned. Alright, Brian, thank you so much.
I can email this to you. I'm sorry the typing didn't work. I don't get it.
It's fine.
It'll translate it to text. You wanna try it?
Not my scribble.
It might.
Sure. Either way, one or the.
We'll play with it.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
It's not.
How are you?
Hi guys.
Hey.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
See, look, there's wires that came out of the back. We'll put them back in there. Right in the back. Okay.
Kat does a good job.
Great. Best. We're going to session hold. Hello. I'm not. I'll drink water. I'm on the wagon. I'm trying it. 4.5 weeks. I've been wanting to talk to you about that.
Yeah, we're gonna
That's
do an
nice.
intervention on you.
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you too. Yeah. might be a way to pull those boards out.
Well, there is, I work with the package.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Were we supposed to do that tonight?
if it's possible, one just run.
Yeah, sure.
And then they can walk across, by the time they turn right, you already pass the board and the barrier.
Nobody likes that.